One of the messages here I wanted to share is that put your life first. I was a workaholic. I loved what I was doing, and I paid the price. And so what happened was there was a final straw, and all I did was grab a green garbage bag, as you said, put the equivalent of my life in a green garbage bag, and I walked out the door after 25 years of marriage. Never looked back.
Hello, welcome to the Richer Retailer Podcast. I am so thrilled to have you here because today's episode is critical. Honestly, is perhaps one of the most important ones that I've ever done. The topic is, you'll see, it's truly about how to be richer in every way. That is what matters. I'd like to introduce you to Pat Mussieux. Pat Mussieux has been my colleague, a friend of mine we were trying to figure out before we started exactly how long, but a while.
Long time.
Pat is a super accomplished woman. And that's right. That's a professional term that you can use yourself. She is really an internationally acclaimed speaker. People say that, but this is true. She has spoken all over, literally all over. She's spoken in Africa. She's an award-winning business coach. She has won the Stevie Award, which is the Female Entrepreneur of the Year in Canada 4 times. She's been a TV and a radio host, and she's going to talk to you today about her transformation in life and the impact you can take on your life right now before it's too late. Isn't that true, Pat?
That is so true. I know people say, oh, well, that's just an expression. Well, it's not. It's not.
I'd love for you to share a bit of your journey and about how you really changed you actually transformed your life. Oh my gosh, tell them about the garbage bag. Oh my goodness.
Well, thank you, Cathy, and thanks for inviting me here because I am on a mission to share my story. I do want to help professionals in particular live their best life, create their best life, and realize that it's never too late and you're never too old. And so my transformation, the first one happened at age 58. And that was when I was living my dream when it came to work. I was on the road a lot. I was with the Seattle-based Pacific Institute for over 10 years, which was life-changing because it was all about mindset, the programs, the delivery, the speaking. And sadly, as I was growing and evolving, my marriage was dying. And so, long story short, I made the decision at age 58. At the time leading up to that was, as I told you in the beginning here, my best friend was dying. My father-in-law was diagnosed with terminal cancer. My mother-in-law was final stages of Alzheimer's. My infant grandchild had been taken off life support. My marriage was dying. My life was dying. One of the messages here I wanted to share is that put your life first. I was a workaholic. I loved what I was doing, and I paid the price. And so what happened was there was a final straw, and all I did was grab a green garbage bag, as you said, put the equivalent of my life in a green garbage bag, and I walked out the door after 25 years of marriage. Never looked back. We accrued a lot of stuff and investments in 25 years, but my soul was dying. And I had learned through the Pacific Institute the tools and techniques to reinvent myself. So I took that green garbage bag, moved across the country to where I had some family, and decided that I was going to live my best life for me. I'd been taking care of everybody else, and I'm sure some of your listeners can relate to that, taking care of everybody. And I moved there because my mother was in the final stages of her life, and I wanted to be near her. And so I reinvented myself, launched my own coaching and speaking business, took it to 6 figures in very little time because one of the smartest things I ever did was I hired a high-level coach, a millionaire coach. Did I have the money? No. But I knew how to negotiate and make some good deals. And I believed in myself. So that was the first transformation. And then life goes on, and fast forward, and I decided 16 years later to move back to the West Coast to be near my kids and grandkids because, as I also have shared with you, my other best friend was dying. And I sat with her. I took a sabbatical from my business while my team ran everything. And I spent all the time with her in palliative care and hospice care. I moved in with her for a short period. She was like me, divorced, running a business, living alone. And she said to me, should anything like this happen to you, who's going to take care of you? Who'd have thought? That's why I moved back here. Listen, my business, as you know, I did very well in business. And I got back here with a full calendar of speaking gigs for about a year and a half, and was so committed to that. I even moved here in this specific building near the airport so I could get those crazy 6 a.m. flights. And then COVID hit and shut down my world and grounded me. And as you know, in Canada, restrictions were very tight for a long time. And so I transformed my life again at 68 and stepped into yet another stream of business. That's the long story short.
Well, what is amazing to think about is that as you tell a story like that, it's easy to pass by some of the details. I mean, some of the sad details. I know, I'm so sorry about your losses. And then also to think about when you mentioned you had all these, you had accumulated all these riches. And I don't want you all to miss this. But what are your true riches, Pat?
You're asking me? I can tell you. Listen, as we evolve, and I've done a lot of reflection lately, actually. And what I've noticed in my journals, and I've kept a gratitude journal for 30 years, every day for 30 years. And every New Year's Day, I go back through the journal. And what I've noticed, the trend or the theme is every 10 years, my life has changed. And now, listen, I'm speaking to people who set goals and who want to live their best life and who believe in their own potential. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Other people are happy with status quo and God bless them, but they're not in my circle. So I looked at how I've evolved, and it seemed to me that every decade there was a life event. And then I could make the decision that does that life event contribute to my best life or contaminate my dreams? And so the riches for me at this stage, now I trust most of your listeners are a lot younger because I'm 73, about to turn 74, unstoppable, running 4 businesses now and just having a great time. So my riches at this point are good health, because at this age, I am a rare bird, not on any prescription drugs, no aches and pains, no artificial body parts. I'm thankful. So my health is my number one riches of my riches. Number 2 is my circle. And I always talk about that, my circle of 5. And I have 3 circles of 5, which I consider a big part of my riches in life. My circle of 5 of my friends, of which you're one, because I love our ongoing connection and relationship and support.
Me too.
I have my circle of 5 professionally, and those are my mentors and coaches and colleagues. And then I have my inspirational circle. And what I mean by that, for example, are people like Barbara Corcoran. I look to her for inspiration. Gary Vee has some great nuggets. So I have that. And another part of that is to create your environment. So I'm not sure if you can see here, but
yes.
I have my vision board, which is a big part of my world for 30 years. I do it every 6 months. And then I have my inspirational people right here. And this here is the gal who passed away in London who said to me, who's going to take care of you? So when I walk in here, this is my dream room. This is part of my riches because, first of all, I believe. So my mindset is another part of my riches. I'm constantly evolving and learning and growing and developing, risking, trying, and just still on the path to becoming my best self.
You're never too old to do that. You're never too old to change. You're never,
Ew.
and also you're never too far gone to change.
No, it's perspective, right? Again, are you contributing or contaminating? I'm always looking at it that way. Is what I'm doing moving me closer to the vision for my best life? And, on that topic, you and I have talked because I get so many questions now. People want me to update my first book, which was after my divorce. And I titled it, Who Am I Now? Because I was a stepmother, right? So as a former stepmother, you don't really have a role in the family anymore, even after all those years. So it was like, who am I now? And so that continues as well. So who I am now, I'm in a new relationship, for crying out loud, at 73. The key is to be open to possibilities and your belief system. Again, I'll always come back to mindset.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. You're so inspiring. I'm so grateful to be in your 5 and that you're in my 5 because you just constantly inspire me about what's possible and how that as you grow older, you can choose how you want to do it. I know that your mindset is so big to you, and I know your faith in God is so big to you, like it is to me. And I know that you're also very intentional about your habits and what you do.
Yeah.
I can remember as if it was yesterday sitting next to you, one of the first mastermind meetings that I met you at, and you turned to me and you pretty much said, "Hey, my name's Pat." I said, "Oh, hi, Pat. I'm Cathy." And well, what's your intention for this meeting? My what? I
Yeah.
learned about being intentional from you and not taking anything for granted, which is absolutely another key component to creating more riches for yourself. I'd love for you to share what are like the top 3 to 5 habits that you intentionally do that contribute to your beautiful mind, your beautiful body, your beautiful face, and your beautiful spirit.
Mm. Well, I have a few. I look at everything personally, professionally, and organizationally.
Mm.
I'm always looking at 3 tracks. The key being me first, personally. So the habits and practices, the non-negotiables every day, non-negotiable. First 2 hours of every day is for me. So I get up early because I am at my desk and ready to rock and roll at 8:30. So the first 2 hours are for me, which means I get up, I have my workout clothes ready to go. So I exercise. First, I have a dose of protein because a fasted workout is not good for women. So
Mhm.
one of my businesses, as you know, is health. So I've learned a lot. So I have my protein shake, then I do my workout, then I do my meditation, then I do my gratitude journal. And every day as well, I pulled it out here. Every day I sit down and I write out my goals every day. Same goals every day, but I write them every day. So I do that and the gratitude journal, and then I read. I always have a bit of inspirational reading, and or I look for an inspirational video if I'm in the mood to watch something and feel the energy. That's non-negotiable, 2 hours. And then I hydrate well, get ready for work, put a smile on my face, put a smile on my heart. I look at my why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And then I come in here prepared to serve. That's personal. Professional, there are some habits and practices I do, and I do it every quarter. And I just finished that exercise actually last week. And the one is, yes, do a quarterly assessment, right? On me, professionally. Yes, I do it operationally, but professionally. Where have I grown? Where have I evolved? What can I do better? I'm professionally taking this on for the month of April. 21-day go for no challenge. Because, in all of our businesses, I don't care if you're a brick and mortar or if you're like me and you work from home or online or whatever the case might be, there are people out there who are looking for what we have to offer. And I know mindset again, and I know with my team and with myself that the fear of rejection is there. Well, I can't call that person today, or I might not ask them for the sale, etc. And so I'm always looking professionally to up level me and my skill and ability. So then I do an assessment on my skills, and I always work with a coach. All right, so I'm kind of transferring over here to operational as well. But quarterly assessments, work with a coach, attend live events. So that's for me personally. You and I both were attending the Global Leadership Conference, right? Every August.
Yeah.
That was always a birthday gift for me for developing my leadership skills. So I look at me and then I move over to my organization or my operation. I do a quarterly assessment all the time. And I actually did a LinkedIn post on my key points of review just last week. And one of them was to look at my identity gap. Just go look at the LinkedIn post and I'll leave it at that rather than take up precious time here. And then attend live events. So I attend industry events as well as personal growth and development events. So those are some of the key practices and habits I have that I deem success habits.
Mhm. I love how you're so intentional about bringing in motivation and education from so many different places. The leadership conference that Pat and I were talking about is the Global Leadership Summit, which is hosted by Willow Creek Church here. It's here in outside of Chicago, and it's faith based, but it is for everybody because it is
Yep.
so powerful and presents you with so many fantastic different perspectives on leadership. And, if you think about it, it's the reason why you're listening to this right now is because you're looking for a little bit of inspiration. You're looking for to be better. That's why you're here. But the difference about Pat and what I have learned from her for all these years and why I meant what I said that this is likely the one of the most important podcast I'll ever do is because she doesn't just go for that easy dopamine hit. She puts it into action. She creates time in her calendar to make this happen. And it's non-negotiable times. Think about what could happen in your own life if you were non-negotiable with anyone or anything about the time you needed to improve yourself, to do anything. And right, listen, I've had 4 kids, 3 stores, different seasons of life. It's easier, but you can still create that time. You can still do it. And if you walk away with nothing else today, I want you to be aware of what your true riches are and that you have the ability and the choice to improve them, to make them bigger, to be truly a richer retailer.
Truly. And let me give you 2 simple things that I stay focused on. Well, 3, because it comes down to this. I read this every January.
Okay, it's The Power of Focus by Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen.
And I love it because it's a workbook format. To see the blanks, I don't write in it. I write in my journal instead. But it's a workbook format. You see lots of highlighting and tabs
Yes, I
here.
do.
So
I do.
it's about focus. And so there's 2 things I focus on, personally and professionally. One is my why. And I've noticed over the decades that changes. So my why right now with what I'm doing, what gets me out of bed on those days when, people let you down, people disappoint you, people don't pay you, like all of those things. My why keeps me grounded every day. And my why is to remain in optimal health because I'm in a new relationship. But also it feels great to feel great. Honestly,
Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
stay in optimal health and I
yeah.
want to make a ton of money. So Rod and I can travel wherever we want to and I can work from wherever I choose to. So know your why and get anchored in it emotionally every day. And then secondly, and this is one where I see people have lost focus, is have fun. Are you having fun? And I consider that one of the riches thing. I have fun with what I'm doing. I have fun with the people I work with. I have fun with the people I talk to. And every day, Rod and I talk about how much fun are we to live with.
Yeah, that's one of our core principles of Retail Mavens is fun. And it's because I learned that there's not a point when you reach it. There's not a finish line. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, there's heaven. That's our finish line. But in life, though, you have to enjoy the journey that you're on. It's the reason why we added our whole life after retail program because I wanted to be able to serve people because you can't feel tied to your store. You have a choice about that too. We love to help people.
And it's not that we have to,
Right.
but when we put it on a choose to, want to, like it, love it basis, and I learned that from Lou Tice. And what I'm doing based on a want to, choose to, like it, love it approach. And if not, then change it. So for example, I've been on the road as a speaker all over the world. And that's actually when I put my weight on because I'd be waking up in different countries, different time zones, different food, different cultures, and the stress post-divorce because I walked out with nothing. So I put the weight on. And so thankfully with my good buddy trainer, Jeff, introduced me to a system to help me change all that. But my point being, when I moved here and when COVID shut me down, and now I'm closer to my kids and my grandkids, my choice is not to be on the road anymore. Do I love speaking? Yes, I do. I love the energy and the feedback and all of that. However, it's a different time in my life. And so my life now on a want to, choose to, like it, love it basis is to do podcasts or to do local events. I changed it because I don't want to be on the road in airports and hotels anymore. That's the key. Are you having fun? And is this what you choose to do every day? And if not, change it.
Right. Yeah. For that retailer who does believe that, health is one of your greatest riches. And what are those 3 things you always say? Health, wealth, and
Happiness.
happiness. That's what it is.
Those are my 3.
Health, wealth,
Yeah.
and happiness. So for the person that believes in that, for the leader that believes in that, for the store owner that believes in that, how can they create a culture of this wellness and happiness and positivity in their store? What can they do?
Well, the first piece to that is, walk your talk. If you're looking to create and live in and work in a culture that speaks to health and wealth and happiness, and you're happy to be there, and you have a great vision, and you share the vision with your team on a regular basis. One thing I'm saying to coaching clients all the time is, if and when you are having a good time, tell your face. Tell your face. The thing I've taught Rod, every time we're out driving and we come to a red light, I say to him, look around. How many people are smiling? Or when we go out to eat, I say, look around. How many people are smiling? Tell your face if and when you're having a good time at your store, in your business. And so I make a point when I come through this door, I put a smile on my face because it comes through everything. So the first part is know your why, put a smile on your face and in your heart, walk the talk. And we need our health. I shared 2 stories, 2 friends who died. My one friend in Ontario, she had a major successful business. She had to sell her business because she was going through chemo every Friday. And then the results of chemo, of course, put her on her back. She had to sell her business that she built so hard. And she had kids and grandkids. And she said to me, I don't want to leave them. So it really is not about work, and yet it is. So do something that you love, be of service, have fun, but watch your health.
Yeah.
And along those lines, it's simple, Cathy, like hydrate, look at what you're putting in your body. I am very particular about what goes in my body.
I'm totally interrupting you there because that is so important. And I'm so grateful because, you try a million things forever. But I tell you, the thing that I've stuck with the absolute longest is my Isogenics products. It really been incredible. I couldn't imagine. I'm traveling this weekend to speak at an engagement, and I was intentional about ordering. I actually ordered meals from a meal service to be delivered to the hotel. So I have a couple of main meals. And then I, of course, have my information. I have my shakes that I'll bring with me so that I'm also supplementing with that. And then I don't have to worry that I'm going to be operating at less than 100% because I refuse to take that chance anymore. I won't do that.
You got to know what you're putting in your body. And that was part of my downfall when I was on the road. I was running through airports, just grabbing something because the connections were so tight. Or I'd get to a hotel so late, there was no chance to go anywhere for a decent meal.
Right.
And this was before my isogenics lifestyle. So now, 9 years later, 45 pounds down, I am feeling my optimal health because I too have 2 shakes a day. I take the supplements, I drink the water, I use the sports products. Recently, we came out with a menopause supplement, which, interestingly enough, I'm like way past menopause. However, this supplement addresses so much more. I'm having the deepest sleep of my life since I started taking this.
Wow.
I am like shocked, and I'm dreaming again, which means I'm in REM sleep. So listen, I have a lot of energy anyway, and it annoys some of my friends. Now I have even more because I'm sleeping so well. So these products are world class in quality, and I am a walking billboard, as is Rod, and I make no bones about it. I tell everybody, get this in your body, because people are always saying, what are you drinking? What are you drinking? I'll tell you what I'm drinking.
Right. And all the things together work. I know for myself, I preach all the time to retailers, to you store owners. I preach to you about make decisions about your money. Pay attention to your money. When you pay attention to the numbers, then the money follows. I said, don't make guesses. You work so hard to make guesses. Have a plan. And yet I didn't have that for my own life. And so what I love is also not having to make decisions. So that's the reason why I just ordered those meals, because then I don't have to worry about trying to make a good decision about what's good to eat. And I mean, we spend our whole lives trying to do right, trying to make good decisions. No one wakes up in the morning and says, oh my gosh, I am going to totally trash my life today. I am going to make bad decisions all day. But I'll tell you, we're also a society that we make too many decisions. Decision fatigue is such a real thing. So I continually try to minimize the number of decisions I have to make. And what I truly believe, our mission is to create more women millionaire store owners because of how less than 1.9% of all $1 million businesses in North America are owned by women. And that's appalling. That's horrible. And so I'm on a mission to increase that number. And this is so important. You have to enjoy the journey. You have to be healthy. You have to be intentional about it. And that's the reason why I wanted to share all this with you, because I wanted to make sure that you had access to this information. And I know that we have thrown a lot at you here, but there's a couple of key components that I want to make sure that you heard Pat say. She divides her life into really 3 different sections. Can you tell them about that one more time?
There's health, wealth, and happiness. So take away one of those 3, and my life is not complete, honestly. And therefore, when I have the 3 in order, then it transfers over to my business, personal, professional, organizational. So you're right. It does come together. But first and foremost, and my motto, my hashtag is me first. Me first. Because again, you talk about decision fatigue. a lot of the reasons behind that, not only the influx of information that we get and so on, but many people are walking around with brain fog, and many are exhausted because they're not sleeping, they're dehydrated and so on. So I will continue to preach the fact around health. Retailers, I see them running their feet off because they're short staffed in a lot of cases. And so what are you putting in your body during the day? The shake takes 2 minutes.
Right.
Quality nutrition, high energy, good nutrients. Get that in your body and feel good.
No decision.
Exactly.
You're done.
Chocolate or vanilla, that's the decision, right? And so that's so key. It's so funny you mentioned the numbers. Look at the top of my note here. Can you see that? There. Know your numbers.
Says know your why.
That's so important. Every day I look at my numbers. That's business. And you talk about the journey. It's tough some days. This is not for the faint-hearted.
No.
It's not. Do I recommend it? Absolutely, because I love the freedom and the flexibility. Do I work long hours? Yeah, everything has a season, I believe, right? Our life has a season. Our business has a season. There are some times, like in January, are we busy with health products? Yes, absolutely. So everything I find is like that. But I believe entrepreneurship. I believe working with customers where you have a quality product, a quality team, a quality mindset and body, and to help people improve their life or bring joy and bring happiness and bring a smile. I can't think a better profession.
Exactly. Let's face it, friends. It's why you do what you do. It's why Pat does what she does. And it's why I do what I do. Gosh, and it's such an honor to have you here, Pat. And I'm so honored that you're listening today, friend, because I know that this was for you.
And before that, let me just add one last thing. When I talk about entrepreneurship, we can't do it alone. So make sure you have your circle of 5, or you have a colleague like Cathy or a mentor. Hire a coach, people. Work with a coach. I worked with 3. I had a business coach, a health coach, and a happiness coach. Right, because I'm serious about my life. It's not a dress rehearsal.
But the one thing I want to say about that is that the thing that I have become so aware of, I know you'll agree, is that the number one reason that people fail in businesses or their life is that they're trying to solve a problem that they aren't trained to solve. And so you spend so much time and energy Googling things or whatever, which is fine. Like, I'm not against that. That's AI is fabulous. There's so much it can do for you.
Yeah.
However, I want to get there faster, and I want to know precisely how the specifics of my situation applied to that problem. So what's the specific solution for me? And so like you, Pat, I've had coaches now for since I first met you in our very first thing. I've had, and same as you, I have 3 coaches also. And I know that the investment that I make paid back.
Just with skills and talent, but with relationships alone. And so I know I can call you anytime. And we both have a circle of people like that.
Wait, hey, and Pat, before we go, we always like to end with what's your Millie moment? Like, in a Millie moment is a time when you achieved something in your business that felt extraordinary, something that made you stop and reflect and said, wow, I did that. You know, it's not just about hitting $1 million in sales, although it can be that, but it's about really any sort of breakthrough. So what is it for you, journey? And I'd love for a personal and professional one if you could share both.
Well, like I said, there's 2 distinct moments, and I just remember them so clearly, like it was yesterday. So, when I lived on the East Coast, I hosted 3-day events once a year for entrepreneurs. I was the leader in doing that because my coach in the U.S., I always went to the U.S. for leading edge coaching, and I would come back and then lead the way. So I was hosting 3-day events. And I remember in my 4th year of doing that event, and our coach was there on site. And it was the first time that I offered a very high level coaching package. I had an entry level and a high level. And it was on day 2, the noon break of day 2. And she came backstage to me and she said, do you know your numbers to date? I went, no, not yet. I don't. We check them every day, but not midday. She said, well, first of all, you want to be thinking about your capacity to serve, right? So when you're selling something, you'd best be able to serve. And I said, why are you saying that? And she said, well, you just reached the $500,000 mark in sales. Yeah, that was my reaction. And I cried, Cathy. I cried because I gave my heart and soul on stage for those events. So I cried. And then there was a meeting with my accountant. So that was one. That was like, oh my gosh, I never in my wildest dreams. Anyway, it was a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And then the second one was when I sat with my accountant, who was amazing. I did not have an accountant who was risk avoidant and, that guy back in the corner office. He was an entrepreneur and he knew about risk taking and everything. And he helped me. I hired him right away when I had nothing. And he helped me crawl out of the abyss, if you will. And I remember sitting with him not long after that event, and he looked at me and he said, "You want to know your numbers?" I went, "Oh, yeah." And it was not the $1 million, Cathy. My lucky number is 8. And he flashed it up on the screen on the wall and he had it circled. It was $868,000. I cried again. So really for me, it wasn't the $1 million mark.
Huh?
It wasn't. It was seeing the 8s flashing.
Yeah.
And it was just really the realization of what I believe to be possible. When you do the work, you believe in yourself, you have a quality product, you have great customers. Like at first I took people with a pulse and a nickel. And I believe you do that in the beginning, right? But when it came time of confidence and competence and health and circles of friends, all of that together, to sit and see 868, and I knew the million was like just a sniff away. I knew that.
Right,
But it was
right.
in that moment, sitting with a young man who believed in me too. Those were my 2 milestones.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Oh, Pat, thank you so very much for sharing. I really appreciate it. And I'm so grateful that you were so open to share those vulnerable stories and then also your success, because it's so encouraging to people to see that ordinary people like you and I, that it really is the culmination of everything that you do all together, that's really what brings you to that milling moment, but recognizing that you have to be intentional to get there. And listen, I wouldn't be serving you if I didn't offer you the opportunity to find out how we can serve you. Like I said, I don't want you doing this alone. Like Pat said, don't be a lone ranger, because what's that African proverb about how I heard it from you first?
Yeah, you can go far by yourself, but you can go further together.
Yeah. Further and faster
Mhm.
together was those 2 words. And listen, in the show notes, we have a link that there's a free training that breaks down the method we use, our programming. And if you know you're already wanting to work with us, there's an application there too that you can fill out, and it'll guide you to the right program for you. And I couldn't encourage you enough to be intentional and make the choices to really be a richer retailer in every sense of the word. Healthy, wealthy, and happy. That's what we want for you. Pat, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your wisdom. And with all my people, I know that we are all richer because of it. Thanks again. You're such a beautiful person inside and out. And I'm so honored to be part of your circle. Thank you so very much for being here.
Right back at you, and thank you for the opportunity. Amen to all of that, Cathy.
All right, you guys, know that you are astonishingly fabulous and that you are loved. Happy retailing, everybody. Goodbye.